So there are a lot more features and tools and resources in QuickBooks, and I'd like to go over a few of them with you now. One of them is that you can keep track of fixed assets. If you have a lot of assets that are large that need to be depreciated over the course of time, you can put in the details about them, how much they cost when they were purchased, and this stuff will be valuable for when you later do your tax return at the end of the year and also when you have to replace these assets. So it's just a tool to document the details of that information. You may also document it at the time you do a journal entry to enter in those assets. And normally your CPA or tax preparer will have that information for you as well at the time that you do the tax return. But this report would be excellent to give to them to be ready to do the tax return. Okay, now under company preferences, there's a thing called to-do list. And this is just a very simple thing. You can go in here and create a new to-do item. So if you want to have QuickBooks help you remember to do things, you could do nothing more than put in a task and put in to pay bills and do the due date. And when you enter this in and say OK, it will appear here, and then it will appear on when you open up your company file and you have your reminders up, it will appear there. So you can look at the regular ongoing. You can have these repeat on a monthly basis. Hey, every 10th of the month I want to pay bills, and you can have that in there automatically as a reminder. There is also a calendar system in QuickBooks. So if you want to instead just take track of things on your calendar, you can go in and enter all of your to-dos. It will go in there. You can enter all kinds of additional details on this calendar system, just like as if you had an Outlook calendar in place. Then there's alerts in QuickBooks. Now I don't usually use these, or not even necessarily suggest that people do use them, but they're alerts to get things out during my tax deadlines and other critical deadlines at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter or anything like that. If you don't want to see them, you can turn off alerts in your edit preferences. And if you want, you can go in and mark them as done as you go, and they will be done for that year. But they will continue to appear and appear and appear unless you go into your preferences menu and stop the alerts from coming in. There's another tool in QuickBooks called the mileage, and when you enter miles, this is something I suggest you put on your action list. At the end of each year, put an action list in your Outlook calendar that says, right at the end of the year, go out to all of your vehicles, identify the type of vehicle that you have, and then put in the odometer reading as of January 1st and save and close it. And then put in another reminder on your Outlook so that at the end of the year you'll go back in here and you'll put in the ending odometer reading. And you will maintain a permanent record of mileage by vehicle in here that will stand up in an audit. You'll have a complete record of, a summary of all miles traveled for the year for each individual vehicle. And at least you've got that much to know where your odometer was and how many miles that you traveled for the year. If you were audited by the IRS, you would then need to create a detailed mileage log, but you'd have the core basis of how many miles you traveled in order to complete that. So just another great tool that QuickBooks has you can do this on an everyday basis, and if you bill mileage to your customers, then you can go in and enter the miles and then set it up to be billed to the customers, right? Right now it's not billable, but if you check that box, it will be billable. And then when you create an invoice, you can, of course, transfer it over as we've talked about in a previous session. All right, in QuickBooks, there are a whole bunch of letters that you can create. And I spoke briefly about these letters before, in that you can send out a collections letter to a customer that owes you money. You can send out customer sales letters and letters to all your vendors. You can send out letters to employees, to your other names list. And the nice thing is that you can go in and customize, create your own letter in Word, and then import this letter into your QuickBooks company file and modify it so that you can then send any kind of letter you wanted to any of your lists, like your customers and your vendors and your employees and those kind of things, whoever you, would be the most appropriate for the latter. And that's a lot more on special tools, other resources in QuickBooks.